and gentlemen, the Pleb is back. In today's report, we are specifically going to talk about JD Vance as he continues completely destroying the media the same way that Pierre Poilievre destroys them up here in Canada. You won't want to miss tonight's story. Stick around. Well, folks, it is no surprise that I just love JD Vance. I mean, from his America First policies to his anti-woke approach to everything, taking on big tech, taking on teachers who are brainwashing kids, and wanting to secure our border. This man is an absolute superstar. And one of my favorite parts about these young up-and-coming politicians in the conservative movement like Pierre Poilievre and JD Vance is just how easily they destroy the media and absolutely expose them for the jokes that they are. Now, I'm going to show you two clips from the weekend where JD Vance just dismantles the leftist media. And in our first clip of the night, let's listen to JD Vance completely destroy this New York Times reporter.
The reason that there is a housing crisis is that not enough houses have been built.
And that we have 25 million people who shouldn't be here.
Well, I mean, this is the thing.
I think it's both.
I know you do. I don't think that many people who look into this agree with you, but about a third of the construction workforce in this country is Hispanic. Of those, a large proportion are undocumented. So how do you propose to build all the housing necessary that we need in this country by removing all the people who are working in construction?
Well, I think it's a fair question because we know that back in the 1960s when we had very low levels of illegal immigration, Americans didn't buy houses, didn't build houses. But of course they did. And I'm being sarcastic, of course, in service of a point, Lulu, the assumption that because a large number of home builders now are using undocumented labor, that's the only way to build homes. I think, again,
the country is much bigger.
A fundamental...
The need is much bigger. I mean, I'm not...
This is so good. Wow. How many homes were built without illegal immigration, like right after World War II? She's completely stumped here.
Is much bigger. I mean, I'm not arguing in favor of illegal immigration. I'm asking how you would deal with the knock-on effect of your proposal to remove millions of people who work in a critical part of the economy.
Well, I think that what you would do is you would take, let's say, for example, the 7 million prime age men who have dropped out of the labor force, and you have a smaller number of women, but still millions of women prime age who have dropped out of the labor force. You absolutely could re-engage folks into the American labor market. This is, I think,
to work in construction.
Of course, you could.
I mean, the unemployment rate is 4.1%. Most people who
unemployment rate, Lulu, this is important.
But most people who don't work can't work in the regular economy. They're in the military. They're parents. They're sick. They're old. They might not want to work in construction.
The unemployment rate does not count labor force participation dropouts. And again, this is one of the really deranged things that I think illegal immigration does to our society is it gets us in a mindset of saying we can only build houses with illegal immigrants when we have 7 million, just men, not even women, just men who have completely dropped out of the labor force. People say, well, Americans won't do those jobs. Americans won't do those jobs for below the table wages.
Mm-hmm.
They won't do those jobs for non-living wages. But people will do those jobs. They will just do those jobs at certain wages. And think about this from the perspective of an American company, okay? I want them to go searching in their own country for their own citizens. Sometimes people who may be struggling with addiction or trauma, get them re-engaged in American society. We cannot have an entire American business community that is giving up on American workers and then importing millions of illegal laborers. That is what we have thanks to Kamala Harris's border policies. I think it's one of the biggest drivers of inequality. It's one of the biggest reasons why we have millions of people who have dropped out of the labor force. Why try to re-engage an American citizen in a good job if you can just import somebody from Central America who's going to work under the table for poverty wages? It is a disgrace. And it has led to the evisceration of the American middle class.
And look at the smile he ends it off with here. JD Vance knows he cooked. He knows it. And when people say JD Vance is strong on national defense, this is part of it. It doesn't even just include the military. It really includes the borders and securing America and securing people's wages. I mean, how is having illegal immigrants running down our wages a good thing for our country? It makes no sense. And JD Vance took it one step further, reposting a smaller clip from what I just showed you and telling all illegals in America, if you came to this country illegally, it's time to pack your bags. And the New York Times wasn't the only victim of JD Vance over the weekend, as he also completely destroys ABC News and sends their reporter into a frantic mess.
The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs.
Boom! Yes, the TDS is getting in the way of facts. Well said, JD.
Violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
And look how I love the way he ends his interviews with the freeze frame. Just another, I just cooked this person smile. I love JD Vance. As the saying goes, folks, strong men create good times. And right now we are being led by the weak. Now, the reason the world is so screwed up is because we're being led by woke and weak leaders. But thankfully, this new generation, like JD Vance, awesome picture, by the way, and Pierre Poilievre give me real hope for the future. I really believe that the good times are coming because strong men are finally deciding to step up. All right, guys, tell me in the comments down below, what do you guys think of JD Vance? Is this guy a superstar? Do you not like him? Does he give you hope for the future? Am I overhyping him? I want to hear it in the comments down below. And if you guys want to support my channel, make sure to like, share, subscribe, buy a membership for $5 Canadian. My name is the Pleb, and I'll see you at the next report. Peace.